Hello again. So we talked about the basic elements of design and how to create typographies or use typographies and colors and how to apply all of this for web design. Now, in general, you can also find many other, especially in the human-computer interaction, many other resources on how to improve on your design. And here is one of the ones that I like the most, which are the 8 design rules of golden rules of design by Schneiderman and others, who happens to be my PhD advisor. So one of the things that Ben and Catherine and others in the Designing the User Interface book describe for this kind of like checklist that you should be making sure your application uses. So the first one is that you should be striving for consistency. And what this means is that every time in your application that you decide to create like a metaphor or to name something in a certain way, it is very useful if you actually use that same concept across the whole application or use the same colors. As I was telling you in the Airbnb website or in many of the other elements, just having these consistent elements, that's what we call consistency. And the fact that you're using the pinkish color in here, and also when you go for reservation, whenever this page finishes loading, that gives you the consistency. You also do it whenever you name something in a certain way. So if you're naming it listing in one place, do it listing in the other way as well, okay? The other one is that you want to cater for universal usability. So we're going to have a whole section on accessibility, which is this whole idea on how you can create like affordances that allow people to get equal rights or equal levels on whatever application, whatever you're doing. Do not think about this of something just for people with disability, like, oh, if you're blind or something like that, which you should be catering for those users. But also think about people that maybe have special needs for a specific situation. I don't know, someone is driving or it's using his hands for creating a video or whatever, so he cannot be using the phone right now. So if I want to interface with that, what can you do for that? So you can do that in multiple ways, like specifically you're going with usability, but for accessibility, but when we say universal usability, what we're thinking is like try to think if anyone could use your application, and that will be both for novices and also experts. If you have a way in which novices can get started, but then experts can use shortcuts or something so they can jump into the parts that they know, that will be very useful, okay? The other one is over and informative feedback. So when you're doing that, usually it is a good idea to try to provide errors or different elements that will help people understand what went wrong, okay? So instead of just saying there was an error, you can go and say what is the specific thing that changed and how you can improve on that. So a typical thing with computer scientists, we tend to say just error because we are lazy, but just provide good errors, and that could go like a very long way. The other one is that every design dialog, and this was more common, especially for desktop applications that had a lot of dialogues, but even in the web, you still have some of those. Like everything should be yielding closure. So you do have a little bit of that in the website, like for Airbnb, because as I say, this is kind of like the main thing that the website is calling for. And when you come in here and then you start selecting, and I don't know, you all want to go to Pereira, which is my hometown in Colombia. Once you select this one in here, and that's one of the subtle details that they have in here, is that once you select this one, it immediately gets you to the next part that you need to do. So that's kind of like, instead of having dialogues, it's kind of like a flow, but it's taking you to the next step. So it can be very useful and necessary so you know exactly what to do in there. And then at the end, you're going to have like the search, which is going to be the option that you can select. Like let's say, for instance, that I want to go from the 9th to the 23rd, and then like if you have this option, and then you can just go and hit search. So everything is yielding closure, okay? Now, if I come back here and then I see the other one, it's preventing errors. So preventing errors can be a little bit tricky. And again, as a developer, you might say like, what does that mean? So again, this is a great example in the sense that when I was saying I want to search for Pereira, Um, there might be other Pereira cities, but since Airbnb already knows I'm logged in, that I'm from Pereira and I have been in Pereira, they already know that that's probably the place I want to go to. So they're already selecting that one in there. Okay, so I can go and select that. And then let's say that again, as I was saying, I want to go from December the 9th to the 23rd. So I select the 23rd and then I select the 9th. So notice that I'm selecting the from, it's going to be the 23rd. And now I'm selecting the to from December 23rd to, and then it will be December the 9th, which will be an error. Instead of throwing the error, it is actually letting me change the from date to December the 9th, and then I can go and select the 23rd, and notice also that nice highlighting that shows me what are the dates that they are actually going to be selected. So everything in there is guiding me towards getting the specific one. Another one that is very basic is that I can simply not select anything that is beyond today's date. So, or like before today's date. So why will you enable like options in there that are just errors? Instead of doing that, do not let the user make those mistakes, okay? And then provide other affordances for supporting when they do make an error. The other one is permitting like easy reversal of actions. And what that means is that if I made a mistake because I meant to click on the 24th and I click the 23rd, then I should be able to change things quickly and then undo things. That's kind of when I'm designing applications, one of the ones that I usually struggle the most, because you have to have more memory and allow the user to undo, which can be complicated, but usually as much as you can, allow the user to do that. So if a user comes in here and then selects that for Pereira, you can always just come in here and say, oh no, actually, I meant to say that I was going to go to Bogota, Colombia. And then you can just change that. And notice that it is keeping some of the attributes, so it's not making me search again from scratch. Oh, I actually liked that animation in there on the map, telling me where I was going to, and actually using some interesting research concepts in there. So easy reversal of actions, it is very important. The other one that I think it's critical, and it's one of the reasons why I hate many of the AI systems that we have available today, it's that they tend to be deciding for me. They tend to seem to, like I was just commenting out, I was sharing an image today on my phone, and then when I wanted to share that, Google just added an option that says, do you want to enhance this photo with AI? And the problem is that when I try to enhance it, even if I don't want to enhance it, it's still wasting like 30 seconds of my time while, like, I don't know, whatever the enhancing is loading. So I want to have control on that. Like, I don't want to waste that time. I just want to share a photo in the original format. So let me have that. So that's what we meant by the locus control. The user should be the one that is calling the actions. And then if you're going to automate things, make it in a way that the user can reverse actions and that the user is still the one that is in control. And then finally, you want to reduce the short-term memory load. And what that means is that every time in your website, you have something that says, I don't know, enter the code. And if you need to make sure the user memorizes the code, then you're doing things wrong. Because the whole idea is the user shouldn't have to memorize that thing. Instead, provide a way of carry on those codes. You saw it here when I changed the different cities. Like, it already knows what are the different places I can go to. Okay, so apart from that, there is many other elements you can see. I hope this one is still going. So these are some usability guidelines that you can see directly from the US government on how to check for usability on your applications. And whenever you're doing like a review of those things, that's what is going to be done. It's like a checklist making sure that your application is usable. So there you go. These are the 8 design, like golden rules of design, and make sure that you're applying them. So go in a checklist on your application and make sure that you're covering all of them.